Welcome to season 11 of the Prosthetics and Orthotics podcast. This is where we chat with experts in the field, patients who use these devices, physical therapists, and the vendors who make it all happen. Our goal is to share stories, tips, and insights that ultimately help our patients get the best possible outcomes. Tune in and join the conversation. We are thrilled you're here and hope it is the highlight of your day.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joris Peels, and this is another episode of the Prosthetics and Orthotics podcast with Brent Wright. How you doing, Brent?
Hey, Joris. I'm doing well, man. One of my favorite things is when we do our talking. But our last episode, we've done 120 episodes, and I've never seen you. I mean, sometimes you get genuinely surprised, but having that guest come on at the very end and you're like, hey, what's going on? That was that.
I was amazed that you were able to do that. That was amazing, dude.
So anyway, and the other cool stuff is North Carolina, and I don't know how it is where you're at, but our weather is starting to get way better. So we are actually able to get out and do some hiking and all that stuff. And so that's always fun to get out and see some sunlight and not be cold.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So here it's getting a little bit better as well. And we just went to the market today, had a little walk and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely getting, the weather is getting better. And today's the launch of the new Bamboo Lab printer. So I shouldn't have actually left the house because that's, of course, a seminal event for 3D printing at the moment because everybody's been speculating about that. And that's really exciting as well. And so a very, very good day. And I would apologize for the construction in my neighbor's house if you hear something in the background. But I'll try to minimize it, but it's kind of unavoidable. So I wanted to do that. But yeah, exciting day all around. So really stoked generating.
Well, and I know you probably know more than what I know about the bamboo stuff. So, but anyway, it's very interesting. It looks like it's going to be a bigger build volume. And it appears that they have some other... the stuff that they've exposed is that it's going to be some servo motors, which is going to be interesting with like homing type of things or whether it needs to be homed or not. That'll be interesting. It looks like they've included some sort of laser thing. And then I think his name is Herm, something about light. I didn't quite follow that. But it seems like, and they also said you don't always have to use CNC to get good parts. And so there's a couple ways that you can look at that, right? One is you just make really good parts, or there is a post-processing mechanism as well as a camera mechanism to show quality of the parts itself. So I think, what is it, 5 p.m. Central Time? Is when they're going to be releasing that. So I love that they're doing kind of like the Apple thing, there's a lot of people watching this, and I've gotten a lot of requests like just within this past week, Brent, what printer should I buy? I said, can you wait 1 week? Because I think it's going to be worth it if you wait 1 week. And I think that's the other thing, that the Advanced 3D is wanting to release a printer that's FDM, and it's very specific for prosthetics and orthotics. But there will always be people that are looking for a more budget-friendly printer, and I think the Bamboo is definitely that printer. And I think this is where novel materials are really going to come into play. And so that's what I'm also really excited about when you're looking at the Bamboo. We run, we call it our Everclear material for the test sockets, and then we have this material that is a flexible material, yet we believe is going to be great for definitive sockets. And we're making it specifically for 1.75 filament because we know, and we also suggest, and we have success running on some of the Bamboo printers. So I think that's really neat as well.
So the system, the Bamboo HD2 or whatever it's called, H2D, is essentially, it comes with either a 10 watt or a 40 watt laser. In addition to just the FDM, so $2,800 is for the 10 watt. So that can do cutting. Could do. It's got like vinyl cutting, sticker cutting, that kind of thing. Can cut drawings and stuff like that. Yeah, it's got laser engraving as well, of course, pen drawing. Then it's got a 350 by 320 by 325 build volume, 1,000 millimeters per second tool head speed, 350 degrees hot end, and it's got a heated chamber up to 65 degrees, and they've got a actively heated, dry box, dry chamber kind of thing, which could precondition material, and of course that would allow them to reduce the gradient between printing and storage, and of course remove humidity and the water, which is of course a problem. And that's just generally what it is. So it's more technologies rather than focusing just on making a giant or a really industrial 3D printer. They've basically gone broader and said, hey, you can have this laser cut, you can have this do other stuff in your office as well. You can engrave things and all that. So it's interesting. I think it is really shows their focus on more of that versatility, more that want to own that hobbyist space rather than move only into the production manufacturing space. And it shows them wanting to make the market much bigger, This is like somebody who maybe they're into engraving, and engraving's super easy. Maybe they try that first. Maybe they do printing every once in a while, And like I said before, like there's not a lot of other examples of other like CNC and milling tools and stuff that are desktop besides printers. They're out there, but they're not out there in their millions. They're out there in their like tens of thousands, typically. Except for, of course, CNC itself, which of course Roland and all these guys make a ton of them as well. So I think it's a really interesting machine. I think it's not the Stratasys / Ultimaker killer that people may have expected, but it could actually kind of through the kind of back door be that same kind of device, because for $2,800 with a 10-watt laser, it's it could really be an extra thing for a lot of people. So I think it's super exciting and a bit surprising as well, because they even teased that it had a laser and kind of like that kind of thing, but still, and that it has dual head and stuff like this. But yeah, it still wasn't what people were expecting. So I want to get my hands on one and take it for a test drive, see how it works. And they're really in the driving seat at the moment. They're really going to, determine what's going to happen and what other people are going to do the next couple of months, if not years. So yeah, very exciting time.
So you're saying that the Z is 325? Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So almost 13 inches. So for the stuff that we do, I mean, this gets really interesting because for the stuff that we do, especially for transtibial patients, it's going to be under that many times. And so I think it's going to be a great option for the prosthetic field. And then also you think about all the opportunity in the pediatric space when it comes to things of this nature. That's going to get you a lot of things for kids, especially maybe 0 to 9, something like that. And you may appreciate this. So in Raleigh, we had somebody from, I think it's called like Healing Hands for Palestine or something like that. So a kiddo came over from Gaza that lost the bottom of his foot on some sort of mine, I believe. And we're providing him a prosthesis. And it's the same type of prosthesis that we do in Guatemala. It's a partial foot prosthesis. And it was printed on a bamboo printer. So how cool is that? We were able to do that. And so what we're excited about, though, is now that we have that file, we're going to be able to actually send him back with a few that will be able to grow with him as we go. Or if he completely destroys it, he'll have another one. And it'd be very inexpensive to do, replicatable. And then even if for some reason he blows through all of them, we're still able to continue to print them and somehow get stuff to them. So that is really where I think additive manufacturing is super exciting, is in these types of cases where it'd be a very difficult type of device to create with traditional fabrication, yet we're doing it with this technology, the TPU style material, along with bamboo. So, but it sure would have been nice to have the extra 3 inches or so to get them just a little bit longer, but it worked nonetheless.
Yeah, that's super cool. I think, and that's the development we see where people could do many more devices on these entry level systems. Now, maybe they don't supplant specialized ones like you want to make, or really high end systems, or like your HP systems, but they make them makeable. the nearby makeable, if you will, the adjacent makeable, much more possible, much easier to do. So it's really exciting. And I think that what we've learned so far on bamboo is, okay, the specs are usually kind of crazy, but they do kind of back it up with a very different way of solving problems. They typically, companies are in additive are like, they're trying to solve everything through mechanical engineering, essentially. Stability issues, print issues, whatever. Like, oh, we need a better, stronger chassis or whatever. And what we've seen with bamboo, with input shaping, but also like more advanced functions than that, is they use a lot of software, they use a lot of sensors to monitor the print better and to get better results. And if they keep doing that, which of course they probably have, they have better cameras now, better filament monitoring, better calibration for the dual nozzles, right? And then, of course, these brushless servos, right? And that should really make a really, really very powerful package. And if they then kind of reduce errors as much as they've been doing in concert by monitoring and using their software to monitor those errors, then the performance should be quite incredible. So we'll see if they can keep up the what they've been doing. And I think, even if they make it or they don't make it, they've just made everybody run faster. I think we've said that before. If you're at Ultimaker or BCN or Creality, it's back to the drawing board. You have to dream bigger, let's say, and that to me is just going to do a world of good for everybody, but it's going to be a world of hurt for everyone in the near term, I think.
Sure. Well, and I think the other thing that's interesting is that they've felt the pain of some of their other stuff, probably failing. So people putting on wet TPU, right? And then they're having to, field those technical requests. It's like, well, dude, you didn't dry your TPU or your PETG. And so they've put that on. And now with this kind of heated chamber, you also start getting more consistent prints, very good dimensional tolerances, good surface finish, that sort of thing. So what they're doing is they're also creating it to where people are going to be successful on their prints because they're getting ahead of probably most of the technical issues when it comes to moisture and surface finish for 3D printing.
Totally, dude. And I agree. Okay, so who is our poor, long-suffering?
Oh my goodness, yeah, yeah. Brian's been hanging out very nicely for just a second, but I'm really excited to have Bryan Costello on. He has created some things that are quite novel for prosthetics and orthotics. He actually has created some heating and cooling features for prosthetics and orthotics. So can you imagine being in Dubai in a prosthesis and just sweating like crazy? How cool would it be for you to have air conditioning for your socket? Or on the flip side, if you're a mountaineering type of person and you go to some mountain that you want to scale and your legs are just cold as all get out, how cool would it be to have some warming devices in your prosthetic socket? So that's one of the things that I want Bryan to share about, but I know it's deeply personal for him as well. So I want to hear his story as we go along with it.
Welcome to the show, Bryan. So, Bryan, how did you get involved with orthotics and prosthetics?
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I worked in a nuclear power plant for quite some time before I got into prosthetic and orthotics. I ended up losing my leg in that nuclear power plant, and I suffered quite a bit from my residual limb being cold. My leg was ripped off, and what ended up happening was they used my lat muscle for a graft. So basically, I have internal skin for my graft, and it took me a little bit longer to heal early on. But I suffered from my residual limb being cold. Difficult for me to go snowmobiling, getting back to doing my life, what I was doing prior to losing my limb. And what I realized, it was like light bulbs going off when I realized this. In that power plant, that nuclear power plant that I've worked in, many of them in my career, it is all piping systems. And I mean, just it's all piping systems. And I realized that prosthetics and orthotics are pipe in my eyes. So what I ended up doing was and I know Walter Reed tried to come up with heating and cooling in the Mayo Clinic, and who I'm involved with now, and good stuff going on. Uh, that's basically where the heating and cooling, come from, is that nuclear power plant. I had systems patent. I took systems from the plant and I had them patented, and everything's made in America. And recently, with a cooling system, I had this company do a jig for me. It's aluminum tubing, and what happens is you'll place it on the first lamination, and then the final will cover it. And I mean, carbon fiber is a great conductor. I mean, it heats and cools in seconds, and um, yeah, so it's really worked out really well for these type of systems that really benefit me early on, and with inflammation, my circulation, and just it's just been, and then I have a true distal end pad um, for my liner that I put inside that absorbs moisture, and so I mean, these are the three main items. My concerns as an amputee, early on moving forward, because when I asked if they had heat or anything like that, what they said is, yeah, there's heating pads all over the place. Plug it in. I said, oh, okay. I mean, now I have to stay inside to have heat, and so basically, that's what really started everything for me. And there was a SEAL that scaled Everest, special forces. I was involved with them, and it was just, it's just been a really good process for me moving forward. A lot of work, but the systems that I have are really getting dialed in, and
Okay, that's super exciting. But tell us a little bit about this accident thing. I understand you don't probably want to talk a lot about this. What is that like? Was it what time of life did that happen to you, and how was that? Was it really literally waking up in a hospital and being like, "What happened?" And what was the aftermath of that?
I worked in a nuclear power plant, like I was sharing, and what happened was I was sent to the state of Michigan to help out with a sister plant with a piping system. And so when I got down there, uh, we didn't work one Saturday, and normally I would fly there, but this time it was summertime, July, beautiful. I had a brand new motorcycle I threw on the back of my truck, and away to Michigan I went, and got there, and we didn't work on a Saturday, and so I went to the gym. I took my motorcycle and I went to the gym. And on the way back from the gym, there was an illegal that hit me and ripped my leg off. And I was really fortunate. There's some really great people out there in the world. A gentleman got out of his car with his girlfriend's belt and came over, and I was told all this stuff after. I mean, I ended up waking up, but he came over with a belt and put a tourniquet on me, and basically it saved my life, because every time my heart beat, I could see my leg was at the other end of the road, and I could just see it just spray every time my heart beat through my heart, the blood. But yeah, that the guy really, he saved my life. I'm really great friends with him today, and that's how basically it all started for me. And um, I know with the trauma that I had, my leg being ripped off, my condition, it was sensitive early on. From my understanding, when they saved your life, they don't bury your nerve endings, and that's where a lot of the pain came from. They didn't have time to do pretty much any of that. So,
And for you, is there like your life before or after, or is it just an event that happened in your past, kind of a life defining event? How do you look at this?
yeah, I mean, it changed my life totally. I just see things totally different today. I mean, I'm more physical today. I mean, I'm more energetic. I do a lot more in my life. Um, I still kept working, and with the patents, and getting everything together for lawyers, and moving forward, the heating and cooling and moisture control, I believe, are the three most needed items on the market to date. That's what I suffer from, and it's been asked for years and years and years. And I see where people had tried to come up with it. West Virginia, there was a boat camp heated socket, and they basically broadcast that, globally. Heated sockets are here, and what happened is they never followed through. They weren't able to um, complete the design for it, and but yeah, that's where and more information that I had learned, and that's what really kept me going forward, moving forward, and I mean, plus, I mean, I suffered from it, and no one. I mean, I'm an HVAC specialist, so I didn't see anyone out there in the prosthetic orthotic world. And basically, I mean, it's moved over into orthotics and just many different other avenues. So it's been really it's exciting for me lately. Things sales in Europe, and right now I'm involved with Paragon Medical that's going through the FDA in Massachusetts. They were really excited about about what I had, and so this whole adventure, it's a life-changing deal for me, and I just continue to learn and get better with this new direction that I'm going in, and so it's been a learning process, and it's been that's the best part for me is I was able to make adjustments like in prosthetics, and keep moving forward with what I had, and I went through the valley of death, and so I was involved with Welch Allen, some people here in Syracuse, New York, that they ended up hundreds of patents in hospitals, medical devices that sold their company, I think in Chicago, but I was involved with them. They were a big help for me, and and moving forward with this also. So I had some really good, talented people, and I ended up using consultants in areas where I didn't speak their language. So I mean, just the whole ball of wax for me. It's just new direction, new everything. Changed my life. Crawled out of a hole early on, and um, I just kept trying to do the next right thing, and this is where I ended up. So it was pretty cool deal, and just to be able to keep moving forward, and with different entities and aspects of what I have going on. So.
And talk to us a little bit about like the prosthetic, well, the warming and the cooling. Like, why would people turn to this? Is it a comfort thing? Is it much more than that? Does it vary a lot between people? How does it work?
I mean, I suffer from circulation issues right from the get go. So this is how I like to share it. If your hand is freezing and I give you a tight glove to put on, it just really doesn't work well. So, I mean, basically, that's what I go through. It's the circulation issues. I have to put on a tight liner, and my bone cannot be flopping around in a socket. So, if you go outside in the wintertime, what is the temperature? Uh, the carbon fiber socket is going to that temperature, whatever the temperature is outside. And so I don't know a lot of amputees that hang outside in cooler temperatures for very long periods of time because the carbon fiber it'll go right to the temperature where the temperature is outside. And basically, I have these heating elements that I had made in a company called Reliatrace that I had these designs made up, and they go in between the laminations of the carbon fiber. 12-volt battery, really quality heating units, and that's where that started with the heat. You can put it between the insert and socket, which is closer to your residual limb, or you can just put it in between both laminations of the carbon fiber. That Special Forces SEAL who scaled Everest, double amputee, we put his heating units between both laminations of the carbon fiber, and what I ended up using was a Y that connected both his sockets with one battery, and I was assuming we could just put it between the insert and socket, and if anything ever happened, he could replace it quick, but he wanted it between the insert. I'm sorry, between the both laminations of the sockets that I had made for him, and so they heat up in seconds. And if you cover them up, it's just it's just for me, I'm back doing my life now. I'm snowmobiling, even in the summertime. I mean, my residual limb is cold. I suffer from circulation issues, and I know everyone's different. A lot of people sweat, but I know over in Europe it's a big deal, and I've had many calls about this, and So I needed to get it to where it is with an L code.
And if you're talking about this, is it you're telling that they really don't understand why I would sweat a lot and you would just have a cold limb, let's say? Is that really kind of like really kind of that in the dark about this?
Everyone is different. So I mean, some people have that problem with the residual limb being cold all the time, and like myself, doesn't matter. I mean, if you're outside in the heat, I mean, it's probably a different story. If it just depends the temperatures that you're in. But the cooling aspect of the socket, I mean, it's an adjustment. So heating or cooling, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have water in your liner anymore, or be dumping it out, and so basically, that's what that does for me.
So I think one of the things that's interesting with patients, and I think Bryan hits on it, is everybody definitely is different. One of the things, and this when a patient puts a prosthesis on, they first put typically a gel liner, and through all the clinicians that we've had on the show, everybody says that a gel liner is one of those defining moments in prosthetic history where it made prosthetics better. But in the same way, and I think amputees will point to that time, in the same way, there has been some issues that come along with gel liners. And so Bryan touched on it just a little bit, the heat and the cold. So especially like North Carolina summers, super humid. And you just think about putting this gel liner, which is essentially the putting on a garbage bag, essentially, onto your leg, and then you put a socket on top of it. You're going to sweat. And that sweat a lot of times will collect down into the bottom of the liner. So when Bryan says that people will take the liner off and they'll literally spill water out, that is a comfort issue. And one of the things that I think Bryan has done that's interesting is he's got these pads that will soak up the sweat to keep moisture from just building up and just keeping you from getting that kind of, if you're in the swimming pool for a long period of time, your fingertips will kind of crinkle. The same sort of thing will happen with somebody's limb. But I think the other part that's interesting, Bryan, that you said is, I mean, I would say that probably, unless people are on LinkedIn, the company, what you're doing, the heating and cooling, is still not many people know about it. But the fact of the matter is, people are finding you and writing you because this truly is an issue that nobody really has addressed. And you've seen some of the big companies address this. So like Willowwood, they try to poke holes in they call it their Smart Temp liner, and use some different gels. We've had some people on when we were at AOPA that had these dynamic cooling distal caps, which was very interesting as well. But I think it's one of those things where, even as a prosthetist orthotist, when we talk about the heat specifically, not necessarily the cooling or the being too hot, not necessarily a heating element, but the cooling aspect of sockets is important, and that's one of the reasons why in Guatemala we don't use liners, is because it's so hot, and we like to use socks and something that will last a while as a padding, because we just see the issues with sweat and liners. So I think, like, big picture, and I think one of the things that I'm interested in, Bryan, is how are people finding you? And then I'd love to hear a little bit more about these, the messages like, oh my goodness, I've found somebody actually gets what I'm going through. And so, like, if there's any patients that kind of pop to the top of your mind, I'd love to hear about that as well.
Oh yeah. Recently, there was a prosthetic company in Ohio that installed a heating element and just excited about the whole deal to go out their walking leg and have heat when they want it, turn the button, click the button on with a battery, and Osier. I got a little message on LinkedIn from Osier. I know the guy that was in sales for him. He no longer works there, but he said, "Yeah, don't stop, keep going. It's needed for orthotics, and we're super excited." And so these are, I get a lot of, the marketing aspect I've done on Facebook and LinkedIn. That's the most marketing that I've done. And, I have sales in Europe and in Canada and in the United States. Trial basis in Europe because it needs to be CE certified, the heating and cooling, but the heating is like a big deal. But like Unbroken Ukraine Corporation, I've sent heating and cooling device, what my components over there. And, I've got nothing but really great feedback. Like I could email Unbroken Ukraine Corporation. They get back to me like within a couple of days. And Walter Reed Hospital, one of the prosthetists there, Todd, texted me and said, "Hey, you have heat. We see that your sign socket. We see that that design for a sign socket, but can you produce what we want?" And I eat the expense, and I gave them exactly with a company that I'm involved with a heating unit designed exactly the way they wanted it for a sign socket for one of their patients. And so it's been just a great deal for me moving forward. And like the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, I was invited there, and they ended up installing a heating unit in a socket, in an arm. And so, yeah, all these entities, and it's great to get a text message from Walter Reed Hospital, one of their processes. That was pretty cool for me. And but yeah, just all these other Ottobock, the number one prosthetic company in the world, signed a contract with who I provided heated sockets for, Hari Budimedker Special Forces. And Martin, I think Martin is his name, head of global sales. I just chimed in on LinkedIn one day and said, there is no expeditions without heated sockets. They didn't realize that. So Hari, he's scaling to 7 summits in North America right now. But the first deal, he scaled Everest with a team, special forces team, and dominated it. And they told me they would have never, ever even attempted it without the heated sockets. I met them in California, actually, the team, and they gave me their sockets. They showed me what they had and what they tried to do, and it wasn't looking good. And so I ended up taking them back with me, and I'm a craftsman, so that's I dialed it right in, and and that's what I continue to keep doing. But the more exciting thing for me is like when I get, lately it's just been wow, it's really great stuff going on. And the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, the best that they did, were showing me, was put insulation in between the insert and final, or between the both laminations, first laminations and final. And that was the best they did, was the insulation. So that they came up with, but they were excited. I had videos that I had taken there and all sorts of stuff, and yeah. So that's basically what I do for my advertisement. I just share with companies that I'm involved with that have purchased my heating elements, that have had nothing pretty great stuff to say about the heating and the cooling. The cooling is a supply return line that I have. It actually flows water through the socket through tubing, and a little ice, small volume of water, and it circulates through that carbon fiber socket. And what I end up doing is I put a metal tape around the tubing, and it enhances it. It spreads like wildfire. And the same thing with a heating element. It does the same thing. And so it's been, I mean, it's hard to get two mechanical systems to work together really, without some effort and a lot of work. But for me, this is like the stars lined up, and I was able to. It just flowed really nice, and I think the carbon fiber is what really, being a great conductor, is what really helped me out immensely with the heating and cooling. But the moisture control pads, that's the true distal end pad that I have with an L code. And I mean, I just, I mean, I don't think about my residual limb anymore. I don't think about when they say, don't let that get infected because we're taking your knee next. I mean, just keep an eye on it. And I mean, what they have out there for moisture control today, I mean, I love my limb. I don't want to be putting salve on it at night so it doesn't sweat the next day, or whatever they have out there. I believe that what I have, and I'm the first one in the world to put you know a distal end pad that absorbs moisture inside of a liner. I mean, I live it every day, and I don't worry about it anymore. And I just change the pads out, like on hot extreme days. I'll have like 4 or 5 pads, and by the end of the day, my residual limb. I mean, there's some sweat above, but my concern is the very, very bottom. That's the only thing that matters to me, because that's my graph. And so that's been really, really a good a good change up for me to have that type of technology where no matter what, my residual limb is not going to sweat at the bottom. And I just changed the pad out. Actually, it was from a company. These 3 women owned a bra company. I ended up taking my daughter to Walmart. We're looking at these sports bras, and I see that it's exactly like the cup of my liner. And so I ended up calling this company, these ladies. I told them what I had going on and what I'm suffering from. They were like, all on board, yeah. So I spent 10 grand, bought some pads. I have them on my website, and I'm an early startup company, so it's just been a process for me. And but everything is worked out pretty good, and so that's where those pads come from. It's a wicking material, and even for kids, I think. What was his name? Ben Ryan. He's over in Europe and England. I sent him them pads. He used them for kids, and then I seen on LinkedIn how exceptional they were in what they were doing with them for kids and stuff. So I was like, wow, that's cool. I liked, and so it's just been, a really good, all around uh, deal for me to continue to try to get better with what I have and to get it out there in the market. And um, I've even had amputees say, "Hey, that's way too cheap. You should charge a lot more than what you're charging." I mean, just all this stuff the VA calls me. What happens with the VA hospitals? Their patients call me. They go, "This is who you contact. Tell them we want this, and that." And so I make contact with them, but I never hear back from them. So, and that's where that L code is going to come in. And I think once I get that dialed in with Paragon Medical, right now they're doing it. Once I receive that L code, it'll change things dramatically. And so I'm just looking forward to see where all this goes and that. And yeah. So that's where I'm at with it there. And but yeah, the marketing I've done on Facebook and LinkedIn, and I got sales all over.
And tell us a little bit about how do you is this like, are you doing this all by yourself? You seem to find kind of partners here and there. You find something interesting there or some other stuff there. I mean, are you doing this whole time by yourself, or is it like or is there a bunch of other people there?
No, I'm 100% owner. And what I ended up doing, I was invited to some medical competitions with what I had. I went to Buffalo, New York, and in Syracuse, New York, there's a biotech accelerator. I was there for 6 months with doctors and what they had. And, and then at the end you got to present to investors. And I was early startup, but um, and it helps to have judges that are invested in you already. But I realized that after some of those doctors had investors with them already. So I was like, yeah, I'm too early and it's not going to be looking good for me. The winner, I think they pulled the winner out who won at the end of the competition. There was like 5 teams.
Oh, did you use 3D printing at all in your development process and producing your parts and stuff?
Right now, I'm working with someone who's doing that, where you guys are. You guys are a level above. And, but they said your components, it would be easy for us to install with my heating elements and, the tubing that I use for the cooling for the sockets. I'll have an aluminum jig that'll be placed on the first laminations.
So when you're looking at these devices and I've seen some of the holders and stuff that you've done with additive manufacturing, and I think that allows you to iterate very quickly. What would you say has been your process? Because it sounds like you've really adopted a process of iteration through multiple, like you're shipping a product and it's a very quality product, but as the product gets better, then you ship that product, right? So that's what, at least from me looking at what you're doing, is like, hey, this works in this form. Oh, I found a better way to do it. Now that is going to be this generation, and that's what's going to be shipping. Am I correct on that?
100% correct. I changed the fittings up recently. So and it just really just helped out immensely. I use a plug now so that nothing gets in the port with a connection for the heating unit. And yeah, just those type of change. It's like in prosthetics. It's the small adjustments that you make are critical and that are huge. And so just with the fittings, the change up on that. And it really worked out well. I was in New York City, and there are some hospitals that are interested in what I have where it comes to orthotics and infants with brain. I can't remember what they said, but some type of injuries where I can have like a cooling device on an infant head, helmet. And, so it's just been breaking out everywhere lately. And so it's been exciting for me. But yeah, I just, I'm following it. I'm not, trying to put it anywhere now. Now I'm like following wherever it's going. And that's what direction it's sort of.
So we have a lot of listeners that are, I would say, innovators. And well, what would you say to them? Or a lot of people are looking to also create products or be a part of the orthotic and prosthetic industry. Obviously, you've found your niche in the heating and cooling side of things. But what would you say as far as a business owner and definitely an innovator side of things? It seems like you're just a go getter, and even though the product isn't necessarily perfect / polished, whatever, you're shipping, whereas other people are not. Would you say that is a superpower?
Geez, I don't know about a superpower, but I think for me as a craftsman, and have been around mechanical systems my whole life, I think that gave me a little, you know, a better direction. I enjoy what I do, and I think the stars have to line up a little bit also, and depending what type of technology you have, and but I just I just think that the need for it is what really propelled me into, I'm driven now. So, I suffered from it. So that's really a key component. If you suffer from something and no one has a solution, yeah, I mean, I'm only here on LinkedIn as a result of top 3 companies in the world not being able to come up with what I suffer from. That's the only reason I'm here. I wouldn't be on LinkedIn. So what I have now, my life has changed. So I mean, I'm all about, the marketing and getting more comfortable with different aspects of this new direction that I'm going in. And I just continue to get better and learn. And so I mean, basically that's where everything is, my drive comes from with this. And plus it's, I lost my leg to an illegal, and these, early on, they said, Bryan, why are you at this competition and why should we help you? I just said, I don't want to lose my leg for nothing. And that's all I needed to say. And they were on board, and, away we went. And with some of these consultants that I had when I was in that competition that I needed. And so it's just been, a really, really good, direction for me, I guess, with what happened and, what I'm doing and, how it came about. And yeah. And I mean, I'm excited. And it was never about money early on, but I assure you it is now. So that's in the patents I have. I even went into another direction. I have these boards, these heating and cooling core regulated boards. This emergency room contacted me and said, we've seen the installation of your heating unit that you have. Is there any way you could do this, 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 and this? What they were looking for is core regulated temperature boards. So when trauma, you know, with trauma patients, they're able to control their temperature, and that's just really a big deal. So it's in manufacturing now, actually, and they gave me 50,000. They said, "Hey, help us dial this in." So that's what I did, and it's in manufacturing now. It's patent pending. And you can see some of the drawings that I put up on LinkedIn. So that's just like another direction that it went into. Air flight mainly is what it will be used for, like military coming from Europe to Walter Reed Hospital. They can maintain their temperature. Right now, the best thing that they have in emergency rooms, because I'm an end user, is heated blankets and ovens and ice. I got to witness this in emergency rooms that I hung out in and worked in and helped these people, doctors and nurses, and got to see, people coming in, missing faces, missing limbs, gunshot wounds. I mean, just the whole deal. And so I can totally relate and understand. And that technology, I'm like, wow, this is what you have. I was like astounded. And one of the doctors said, "Hey, look, come over here in this other room." He goes, "This machine blows cold air, but it takes 20 minutes for it to do it." And, so I mean, I was just like baffled about, the whole aspect of it. So not only for heating and cooling, where it comes to prosthetics and orthotics, it's been needed for over 50 years. And and it's just been a great deal. And it's really difficult to get someone in a manufacturer to, if you're not have a lot of sales, major sales, for them to take that on and, send them the drawings. And so, but yeah, it's been a really great direction for me. It sort of seems it's like a second business that I have with that. So I'm super excited about it.
So thank you so much, Bryan, for telling me your story and telling us, what you've gone through and what you've made out of that, and kind of the work you've been doing. So I think it's just really super exciting.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for being here as well, Brent.
Oh, this is cool, and to hear like the niche aspect, and to really hear a user find something that also works for them and has created a business, I think is one of the unique things that we've had on the podcast as well.
So thank you very much for being here for another episode of the Orthotics and Prosthetics podcast. Have a great day.